All right, so you're bringing on a new salesperson or you're thinking about hiring somebody for your team. What's the number one skill that you should focus on that person learning to make sure that they're a top performer and to make sure that they excel in their sales role? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. And I want you to think about dating dynamics for a second. Let's say you're going on a first date and you have a guy that's constantly talking about his car, his condo, his high-paying job, and it's just me, 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 me. What does that tell you? It triggers this instinctual reaction where you think, why is this person overselling themselves? And why is it so much about them? Why are they not asking anything about me? And you're sort of repulsed by them, right? Because if they were so valuable, why would they be selling themselves so hard? And this same dynamic applies to sales conversations. And the number one skill that you want to focus on is active listening. So what exactly is active listening? In my definition, and I'm going to show you a chart in a second of breaking it down in further detail, but my definition of active listening is paying attention to the subtle details when people speak. First and foremost, you have to do what I said first, which is pay attention. You need to be 100% focused on what people are saying and not focused on what you're going to ask next. Not focused on selling your product or service or talking about features and benefits. You're listening so intensely with this curious mentality, with this curious approach, that when people share whatever they share, you're going to ask them to continue to go deeper. Now, this chart summarizes exactly what active listening is very well. I found it online. It's not mine. Give credit to the company down here that put this together. This is a great piece, a great illustration. But essentially, active listening is, again, 100% attention. You're curious. You're questioning with curiosity. You're asking people to clarify. You're observing their body language if you're on video. You're listening for feelings. You're asking people to elaborate on those feelings. You're summarizing so people feel understood. Now, the foundation of all of this, before you even get on the call, is to make sure that you're selling on pain and not features and benefits. People are motivated by moving away from pain. That is the biggest motivator. And when you actively listen and you ask these follow-up questions and you ask people to elaborate, they feel understood. Just like if you were talking to like a high-level executive or somebody like in a very prestigious type of role, right? Like let's take, for example, like an Obama, say what you want about him politically. When you speak with this type of person, what they do is that they ask you a lot of questions about you. What is it that you do? Oh, cool. I've never heard about that, or I've never talked to anybody in that industry. How exactly does that work? They're just asking you questions and listening where you feel like you're the only person in the world. And when you leave that conversation, how do you feel? You're like, damn, this person's really charismatic. Like, there's just something about this person. And all they really did was just listen and ask you questions about you. You probably did 70 to 80% of the talking. And that's a big thing that you want to keep in mind when you're in sales calls. The best salespeople speak the least. The best salespeople ask the right questions, then shut up and let the other person speak. Now, like I mentioned earlier, a big key to this is to listen to pain signals. People aren't really going to share with you the real reason why they're on the call right away. People are trained and programmed not to like salespeople. They're trained and programmed not to reveal their entire situation to salespeople because they feel like you're going to use it against them. Instead, when you're actively listening, you're paying attention to the subtleties of what people are saying and asking them to clarify. In other words, digging deeper. Let's say, for example, you're selling a video content creation offer. Somebody tells you, when you ask them, why are you on this call? What motivated you to take this call? They tell you, well, I just know I have to create content. I've been putting it off for a while. I just haven't had the time, but I know I need to do it. Okay, cool. Well, let me ask you, did something change recently that made you realize that you need to do this now? Well, I just, I'm realizing that my the outbound and the cold outreach that we've been doing, it's just not really converting the way that I need in order to scale my business. Do you see how now the real answer is coming out? Initially, it was, well, I just know I have to do this. Novice salespeople just take that at face value and they move on to the next question or move on to the next section of the call. Expert salespeople ask for that second level of elaboration. Well, what made you realize that? Okay, what exactly do you mean by that? Okay, did something change inside your business or with your situation that made you come to this conclusion? And what you're doing as well is that you're maintaining that curiosity. When you're curious, it lands genuinely. People think, okay, this person actually really cares. They really want to know about my business. They really want to know about my life situation. And then the further or the more follow-up questions that you ask, the further down the iceberg that you get. And then you start realizing the true impact of their pain. Okay, your business isn't scaling. What you were doing before isn't working. What's the true impact of that? Okay, well, if I don't start making money, I got to go back and get a job. If you ask the right questions, people will start sharing that level of detail. And then now they're like, damn, well, if I'm going to have to, like, if this is the difference between me having to get a job, then I need to do this because I need to make a change. I need something to happen right now. Do you see how now they're in a buying position? Because at the end of the day, the biggest rapport and trust builder is asking those follow-up questions. It goes back to what I was saying a little bit ago. People think, wow, this person really cares. This person really knows how to listen. This person is really charismatic. And when they have that level of trust with you and you've brought awareness to their pain, that's where you put people in what I call the buyer's pocket. Now, if you want help closing more deals for your high ticket offer, or you want help bringing on a sales team, inbound or outbound, there's more information in the description of how I can help you do that. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next video.